Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've recorded meetings and conventions here in Southern California since 1998. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994, and I got sober in a small town called Santa Maria. I moved to Los Angeles when I had 5 years sober and started recording meetings shortly after I got here. In 2013, I started recording conventions. So please enjoy the channel. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Just click right down there. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, Serenity Sam.
I'm Sam, an alcoholic.
Hi, Sam.
World's oldest living drug addict. Wouldn't lie about it. You know, most of the people we get today drinking is what they do when they're driving around looking for drugs. Ones I like ones they're cross-addicted. I think cross-anded, is that what you're saying? This shit. Let's get it together here. I'm very glad to be here tonight. There are people in this room that I like a lot, and even a few of them, though, for an alcoholic, don't be able to say that hell of a thing. That only happened because I came here, and I stayed clean and sober long enough to work those steps, and then to find out that I really wanted to stay sober. So that's what happened to me. I don't know how you people drank, but I used a lot of everything. I don't identify with people who specialize. My sponsor, after I got here, see, I'm of an addictive nature. He said, no, you're not, you're a pig. Well, he had bullshit fillers in his ears, and I didn't know that. So, I was very lucky to run into people who told me the truth, because I was really living a lot of lies. I bragged about being schizophrenic on a lot of people. He said, well, I hate to tell you this, but all of you are going to have to work the steps. So I got integrated pretty fast. Now, I started out for a family of alcoholics and dope fiends and just general all-around lowlifes. I'm a lower companion. I started at the bottom, and I don't identify with people who... They kept talking about mixed drinks. I thought, what the hell is that? Come on, out of the bottle. If you're going to do it. I don't see any point in wasting any time. But I'm a late starter. I didn't want to end up like my relatives, so I didn't start drinking until late in life. And I ended up in jail anyway. When I was 18 years old, I was put in a small-town county jail and waiting on a trial for which I had 9 felonies. And I was guilty of every damn one of them, and they had pictures, among other things. And I knew I was going to get put away for that. And I was in there with my Uncle Bill. He was waiting on a trial, too, for drunk and disorderly and knocking the hell out of somebody. My Aunt Gussie was next door in the women's jail doing 90 days for knifing my Uncle Louie. And my father came to see us on the first visiting day. He's drunk, so they arrest him in the visiting room, throw him in with us. So it was a family reunion. Now, I didn't want to end up like those people, but there I am in jail with them. So something went wrong someplace. I was a rotten, obnoxious kid. My Aunt Bessie taught me the facts of life, and I didn't know what she was talking about. So I used some of these words at school, which was, I learned about staying every night after school for quite a while. Aunt Bessie used to give me a quarter if I would say fuck in the grocery store and embarrass my mother. I got $1 if I said it in church. So, that's how I earned my first money. And I stayed in the family business, which was stealing, and I got put in a reform school when I was 14 years old, and while I was in there, I went through puberty, so in about 20 minutes, it didn't take me long, I didn't mess around with it. So I came out of there loose on the streets, nothing but a horny little kid. Had a hard-on and a bad attitude, and no place to put either one. Anyway, I got married when I was 16. I was a father before I was 17, and I still don't know how it happened. I'm grateful for the pamphlet we have over here, Pregnancy, Its Cause and Cure. It saved my life. Oh, I need to call your attention to the book over there, too. Is Clancy Sees What Bill Thought He Saw. Am I near the door? I better check that. They're strong people over there. Jeez. A group with a dress code. It's frightening. Nobody's ahead of anybody else here. Got that? Yeah. It's not like George Orwell's Animal Farm where the guy's standing up here and he's saying, "We are all equal here. However, I am more equal than you." That shit doesn't work here. Look, a couple of weeks ago, I was sober 47 years. You know how long that is? A long fucking time. That's how long it is. That's what it says on the token I got. They couldn't figure out the Roman numerals, so they just put a long fucking time on the damn thing. I'm here tonight to have a good time. That's what I do on Friday nights. It isn't that I don't take the program serious. I just don't take it somber or deadly. Like, you know, some groups, my God, years ago, there's a group up here, I swore they had a sign up that says, "Heavy does it." A lot of virgins in that group, I noticed that. A lot of female impersonators of both sexes. Anyway, I got put in the penitentiary, and I got out of there, and I started to drink, and I started to use drugs, and I realized what a fool I was for not starting earlier. I mean, I liked it. It was wonderful. It blotted out reality, and that's what I hated, and that's what I detested, was reality. By the time I was 22 years old, I had tried everything I could get my hands on. I didn't care what it was. It might work. Consequently, since I'm a lower companion, I became addicted to kind of low-life things like Alka-Seltzer and Bromo-Seltzer and Midol tablets and aspirin tablets. Well, yeah, on an empty stomach, a lot of things work. Food was a rumor. I didn't bother to eat. I weighed 137 pounds when I got here. It's obvious I've been sober a long time. Anyway, I ran into a mathematical genius, and he figured out how to fill out income tax forms and get money back. And I thought, hey, that's all right. And I didn't work at the place he said I worked. He filled it out, and we sent it in, and here comes this check. And it was for several $100s. And so we cashed that and spent it. And then the next year, we decided we're going to do that again. So we did it, and 2 weeks after I got the check and we'd cashed it, here comes the police. Oh, I'm in trouble again. But I had used my father's name, so they arrested my father for it. Well, my father was drunk all the time. He thought he had done it. So, wasn't any big deal. He went into court and pled guilty, and they put him away. And while he was in the penitentiary, he found Alcoholics Anonymous, or it found him. The old bastard sobered up. And he never knew about the intervention that I had pulled out. That was an amend I held off making as long as I possibly could, and I can't stand it a minute longer. I was 2.5 years sober, and I said, I'm going to make this amend. So I went to see him, and we'd always fought. And he didn't waste any time. He got mad at me because I said something to him about, he pulled out a gun and stuck it down his pocket. And I said, what kind of AA meeting are we going to? You afraid somebody's going to steal your big book? And he hauled off as usual, right in the mouth, knocked me down. He said, that's the way I release you, son of a bitch. And I thought, I'm laying there on the floor thinking, I'm going to make that amend. And here's this idiot with a gun. But the step says, except when to do so would injure them or others. I became others immediately. Well, I got the hell out of town soon after that. I couldn't stand the heat any longer, besides which I was off parole, so I could go. And I moved to a place where they sold marijuana in the liquor stores, and I thought, now that's a hell of a convenience. I like that idea. It's Covington, Kentucky. And so that's where I moved, and I hung out with a lot of Italians that I thought were gangsters, but they were just Italians. That's all they do. However, somebody did pull a gun on somebody else there one night and shot him dead, and I was a witness to a killing, and I knew how to be an alive witness. Get the hell out of there, change your name, and move someplace else. So that's what I did. I went home to Mama. I reeled in my umbilical cord. Mama had been to Al-Anon. Oh, yeah. She had those little beady eyes and that smile. She got me up against the wall and released me. Said, you can stay here a few days, then you got to get the hell out of here, and that's that. And I said, well, why? I'm a nice guy. And she said, well, you're drinking and you're using drugs, you're smoking pot all the time, you got to get the hell out of here. So the next morning, my brother was there, and he and I were puking together, and it was pretty bad. And he said, you know, if our luck holds out, we'll be dead by noon. So then we got some wine to stay down, and then it changed. He said, you know, as soon as we get off of this one, let's really go on one. And that's what booze did for me. It changed everything. And I never knew another way to change your attitude or your thinking or anything else. Drugs and booze, that's what it was for, as far as I was concerned. And at the same time, towards the end of it, I had about 2 more years to go. I wanted to quit, but I didn't know how, and I was afraid to. And I didn't want to go where my father was. I didn't dare hang around him, because he was the son of a bitch, drunk or sober. And, hi. Okay. Add 6 months to your sobriety, thank you. You stay sober 40 years, you can do that. I shake hands with a newcomer, their whole right side sobers up. Yeah. Well, that'll be the day. I don't ever want to see that crap going on around here. I mean, we got enough trouble with each other without dragging all that other stuff in here. Anyway, I moved to Venice, California, where I was to live for the next 30 years of my life. And I moved into the worst place in town, because I asked where it was. Bartender told me, he says, you see that place over there? I don't even go in there in the daytime. I thought, perfect, that's just what I want. I fell in love with a schizophrenic, pill-taking, drinking, pot-smoking, sweet young lady that always carried 3 suicide notes and a razor blade for emergencies. And natural for us to fall in love. She would come home from work every night, brush her teeth, turn on the gas, and go to bed. She'd made suicide a way of life. My personal attraction to her was the way she lied. She was better than I was. I thought, I got to learn from this broad. God damn it. She can really tell lies. And rationalizations, it's your fault. I mean, the fastest gun in the West. I lived there for a couple of years, and I called my father at Christmas time, which was the only time he would accept a collect call from me, and he suggested that I go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I said, what for? He said, because you are dying. And I said, how do you know that from 2,000 miles away? He said, I just know it. What did you get for Christmas? I said, I got 2 gallons of wine and a 500-pound Benzedrine tablet. Well, I fantasized about the goddamn thing. You know, big sucker and get at it with an ice pick and rock it to the moon. I used to bullshit myself that amphetamines enhanced my intelligence. All they did was speed up my mouth. So I had an amphetamine mouth and a Demerol brain. Got into lots of trouble. Anyhow, for some reason or other, I paid attention to my father, and he said, one of the last things he said to me was, and don't you smoke any marijuana before you go over there, because you won't hear anything. And I didn't know marijuana affected your hearing. I wanted it for other things. But I paid attention to him, and it took me 2 days, and I went into Los Angeles to find Alcoholics Anonymous, because there was nothing in Venice at that time. And so it took me all day. I was just crazy in a loon. And here I'm on the third day of my clean time, and I still don't know which way is up. And it took me all day and part of the evening to find a meeting. And I found one at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax at the 6300 Club. And I walked in there, and that meeting had 10 minutes to go. And I looked around, and I thought, I'm not identifying with these people. And then I heard some woman talk, and she said that she had wet her pants twice and come to AA. I thought, really? God damn, wait till they find out what I've done. I didn't think anything about that and a lot of other things that I'd done. And they didn't mention marijuana, and I didn't. And they certainly didn't mention morphine or heroin. We old-time dope fiends know what that is. Yeah. So I stayed clean and sober for 10 whole days. And then I smoked a joint. Then I smoked another one. And then I got thirsty, so I drank. And then I got drowsy, so I took some amphetamines. And that's the progression that always got to me. And that slip lasted a week, but I'd heard about lower companions, and I knew that's what I was, and I quit one more time. Again, it took me a couple of days, and I walked back into that club, and I said, where the hell is a lower companion meeting? I need one. And the guy says, I have just the thing for you. He took me over to the corner of Pico and Alvarado, where there was a meeting at that time called the End of the Line. Yeah, aptly named. That sucker was the end of the line. At the beginning of the meeting, the chairman says, we don't read here. There's no traditions. It's every man for himself. I thought, okay. I felt at home right away. They asked for announcements. Some guy stood up and he said, I'm sinking into a depression. He says, I think I'm going to kill myself this week, and I want to say goodbye to all my friends. I thought, yeah, but finally somebody I could talk to, even though he was leaving. The chairman said, go ahead and do it, you son of a bitch. Nobody likes you anyway. I thought, I am home. I'd found a group where I fit in, where I belong. And 20-some years later, I was at a meeting up here on Wilshire, and there was those same two guys, and they just glared at each other all during the Lord's Prayer. It was something else. Everybody's holding hands, and they were just looking at each other. Nothing's changed in all these years. Those clowns are still at me. Anyway, but they were sober, so what the hell? I don't knock it. Whatever gets you through the night, if it isn't mind-bending, that's what I'm for. And when I tell you that I got 47 years, that's exactly what I mean. I have not smoked a joint in all this time. I haven't had anything to drink, and like that. So clean time means a lot to me. It involves a lot of things. Now, as for the rest of my life, whew, I spent 2 days this week coveting my neighbor's wife. Listen, my mind is still a theme park. I'll try to leave you with some hope, but we are human beings here. I spent some time here when my God, I could knock an Al-Anon down at 20 feet with my vibes. I was such a spiritual giant. I did everything but move to Laguna. And whole groups walk on the water down there, I understand. Yes, quite a place. But many a night I would come home and I think, my God, what a spiritual giant you are. All this crap ran through my mind. I mean, come on, well, people don't come here. Just because you quit drinking, that's what that means. You quit drinking. Then after that, you got things to work on and things to do. But I have made it an adventure, and that's what it has become. And I learned from, even Al-Anons I learned from. We had an Al-Anon come to our meeting one night and talk, and some people there were discussing LSD. This was in those days when a lot of people were trying it out and taking it, and it was a spiritual experience. Oh, yeah. And she said, oh, well, I want a spiritual experience, but I don't want it by artificial insemination. And I thought, aha, that's what I see. So I learned from, I had like a year sober when I heard that. And it's a good thing I found those people. I feel so lucky to be in this room tonight to have lived this long. My God, I'm 110 years old and still moving. Well, it feels like it. Whoops, there's a clock up here. How long am I supposed to talk? Is it time to quit? Yeah, it's time to quit. 9 o'clock, right?
9:30.
Oh, 9:30?
9:20.
9:20? Make up your mind. You must be on the steering committee, all of you. Can't make up your fucking minds about a thing, Jesus. Well, let's see. I have a few more vicious but accurate things to say. But perhaps it's time to take my own inventory. It's always time to do that. I keep a journal, and I write in that thing every day, and sometimes it don't look too good. But I don't want to lie to myself. But I have to remember where I came from and how much of a screwed up life I've had. I've had 3 psychiatrists tell me I was the strongest person they ever met just for surviving my childhood, let alone the rest of it. We never even got to the good part, the drug addiction, etc. And then I met an honest therapist, and she said, "You're not strong, you're stubborn." Light went on, and I believed her, and I still believe her, that I was stubborn, and that's the reason I survived. And I want just a little bit more than survival. I want to be as happy as I possibly can, and not at somebody else's expense. I don't believe in that at all. I want to earn whatever it is I have. You earn your sobriety here, and again, nobody is ahead of you. We are all in this together. Some of us have been here longer than others. Some of us had a lot of different experiences here, and that's what it's all about, sharing the experiences. Advice is shit, all of it. No exceptions. It's what our book says. Well, not quite. I've reworded it a little. But it does say that experience is the thing that is of supreme value here. And then they go on to say so many wonderful things in there if we'll just but pay attention to them. What a life we can live if we will but follow those damn steps. I was lucky enough to meet one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous when I was very new. Would you believe he was over at 26th and Broadway? Oh, yeah. And he came in there to the late meeting. He was with a guy named Jimmy Burwell, and Burwell is responsible for, in our book, God as You Understand Him, being in there. Bill Wilson said that's the greatest single contribution to Alcoholics Anonymous by any individual. And I believe that. Anyway, they were both there at that meeting, and Wilson rambled on and on and on about this spiritual experience he had and this big white light and the wind blowing through him and on and on. And Burwell finally poked him and says, "Wilson, did you ever stop to think that was the guy in the next hospital bed turning on his night light?" And I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous right there. I thought, there's the one of the co-founders and this other clown, and I thought, God damn, what human beings they are. And Wilson laughed his ass off. It was just a fun night. I thought, damn, I have finally found what I was secretly looking for in all those hustled prescriptions and bottles and illegal drugs and booze and on with all the places that we go to try to find some peace of mind and some contentment. And I don't want it ever to be fake and to be false. And so consequently, yes, I still have bad days. And you got to learn to do this. It goes for you too up there. Whoops. Well, I'm with Bobby De Niro that said after he was dead, he's had a lot of questions for Judgment Day. Well, so do I. And why not? We're human beings. Sure, I got questions about a lot of things. I don't think I'll ever find that many answers, but I don't care. In the meantime, it ain't going to keep me from living and experiencing and doing things and being, change is the big thing for me. And I learned that from Albert Einstein. He said that there's 2 things in this universe that are constant: change and human stupidity. Yeah. And because I'm the type of person that if I fall into a rut, I'll start hanging pictures, making it into a little nest, a little home. Yeah. I have never liked change for the simple reason it's frightened me. And I wasn't sure I could fit in. I thought, oh, they're going to move past me. They're going to leave without me. That's the crap that's always run through my mind, because that's what happened to me when I was a child. I was beaten horribly by my father. My father was put in the penitentiary for child beating. And when he drove my mother crazy, and when I was 8.5 years old, she took my sister and me to the river to kill us. And she was 7 months pregnant with twins, and she took some poison to kill the baby she was carrying and kill herself. She killed one of the babies. The other one lived, still alive. My wonderful brother, who survived it all. And yet he was the one that my father was beating on when he finally got put in the penitentiary. And when the judge says, "This is the worst case of child beating I've ever seen in my history," on the bench. And after he sentenced my father to the penitentiary, he said, "And when you get out, you are to leave the state." His lawyer said, "You can't do that." And the judge says, "I just did it. I am protecting that woman and those kids." So we had some peace of mind for a few years. We felt safe. And it was during that time that I began to read and began to communicate more than I ever had in my life, because up to that time it was living on eggshells. You got to protect yourself. Because I mean to tell you, I got beaten like a lot, and he grabbed my mother by the hair and banged her head against the wall, and I hit him with a mop handle one night and broke the damn thing, and he turned around, tore every stitch of my clothes off of me and started beating me in front of my sisters, and it just embarrassed the shit out of me, of course. And that's the kind of life I lived. It's no wonder I drank. I'm grateful for the bottle. If I hadn't found it when I did, I don't think I'd have made it another 6 months. I was going crazy. I had to have something like that. And then when the bottle let me down, where are you going to go? I didn't know where else to go except to come here. And that's why we're the luckiest people in the world, those of us who come here and find this thing. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but so what does? Come on, we're different people, and it's the same set of 12 steps for all of us. And you never have to be alone again. I know some of us are so afraid of communication. My God, I didn't want people to know anything about me, where I lived. I changed my name. I did all this. I'm talking about in Alcoholics Anonymous, in sobriety. I did this. I mean, Sam isn't my real name. My real name's Bill. I wasn't going to tell anybody anything when I got here. I was going to start over, be this, that's the way I changed, a lie. Doesn't work. So now, when somebody asks me a direct question, I have a direct answer, and I got to tell you that freedom. Now, you have to experience it. You got to go do it, and it's a hell of a thing when it happens. My God, that feeling that comes over you when you find those first freedoms, and I had the feeling that I thought, by God, I can make it here. I can really stay clean and sober the rest of my life if I want to. And by that time, that was the first year of my clean time, I wanted it. And so I began to get involved. My God, we started a meeting in Venice. There wasn't any there at that time. And we had a reputation because we changed the signs. We didn't like all those signs they have up any place. Instead of "we care," we had "we give a fuck." Well, you got to talk to the newcomers. I mean, I asked my sponsor about some of those signs once, and I said, "Oh, what is that, live and let live? What does that mean?" He said, "It means mind your own goddamn business." Oh, I can understand that. I said, "Well, what about think, think, think?" He said, "In your case, it's with what, so forget it. So you've been clean 5 years." Now, there's some great and wonderful people that have come through these doors, stayed here for a while, and they're, well, some, I mean, my age, my God, they're dead. But while they were here, oh my God, they were so wonderful. A guy named Larry Blake, he didn't put up with shit out of anybody. He was something else. I was at a Saturday night meeting up here in Hollywood, and the speaker got up just dressed to the hilt, little comedian around town, and everybody knew him. He was about 10 minutes into his talk, and he said, "You know, I got to be honest with you." He said, "When it gets tough, I take a drink." I thought, what the? I hadn't heard that before. Blake was in the front row, and he said, "You son of a bitch," right up here on this stage, literally around the throat. Drug him over to the side. Bang! We hear a door slam. Here comes Blake, right up to the podium. "Good evening, my name is Larry Blake." Launched right into it like nothing had ever happened. Now see, if I'd stayed home that night, I'd missed that. So I still go to a lot of meetings. I do. And where I live, hell, they don't know what speaker meetings are, which just suits me fine. I don't want to be running my mouth all the time anyway. I pass a lot because I want to hear newcomers. I mean, my God, some of them where I live now, they are so crazy. I just enjoy the hell out of them. Yeah, they're really fine people. You got to drop your IQ about 50 points to communicate, but nevertheless. Because you see, none of that matters. What matters is this is the language of the heart in these rooms. See? Love is the answer to the thing. And that's what we have here that really works. And when the rest of it's just a bunch of talk. And in the book it says something about trudging the road of happy destiny. Well, I lurch along that road a lot of times. I need a seeing eye newcomer to get me to a meeting. And newcomers are easy to work with, nothing to it. All you got to do is just, yep, that's right. Then if they get too pushy about things, you say, well, I think your answer is on page 63 in the big book, and I don't know what's on page 63. What the hell's the difference? And to make... Because I had an experience with one of them. I did that, and he told me later, he says, I thought, you old wet-brained bastard, you'd gone around the bend, and I kept reading until I found my answer. And I said, well, what is your complaint? I took a guy a newcomer to a meeting in Malibu when I had to run my mouth up there on a Saturday night. And on the way home, this was during my more spiritual time, I said, what did you think of that? What did you get out of that? He said, well, I learned you can't tattoo a kangaroo. I said, what? I didn't say that. What the hell are you talking about? He said, it's on the men's room wall. I liked it. Stayed sober, still sober today. So, doesn't matter who makes the call. Get those bodies to meetings. Something will happen here. And, well, I'll tell you a little bit about some of other experiences. The old Bimini group up on Vermont, that was kind of a Thorazine lithium group that they had one of the inmates read chapter 5, took him 27 minutes. He got to the part where it says we are not saints, and he read it, we are now saints. He looked around and said, isn't that wonderful? And God, are you in for a rude one when you get out of here? I also had a 12-step call on a transvestite in Hollywood, and in those days, there wasn't any gay meetings. I didn't know where to take the guy, so I took him to Brentwood, where I figured, well, he'll lose himself there. And he was great looking in drag. I mean, wonderful legs, my God, and out to here and like that. And so finally, after about a week, he kept saying, I'm not identifying with these people. And I said, okay, here's your last chance. I took him to the women's stag. I said, it's do or die, get in there. I picked him up after the meeting, and I said, well, you got by with your little masquerade. He says, oh, no, they knew who I was. And I said, and they let you stay? And he said, at the beginning of the meeting, they found out what he was. They asked him to leave. They took the vote. The vote was to let him stay, and he asked them why. And the lady said, because we are not afraid of you. We have nothing to fear from you. And I believe that should say it for everybody who comes into Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't care who you are. Come on in. And you'd be surprised what you might change into, and for better or for worse. And that doesn't matter either. Just do it. I had an experience with a little gay dude up the street here a few years ago. Cute little guy. His name is Alexis. And kept saying, I want to ride on your motorcycle, Sam. I said, no. No motorcycles, Alexis. Go talk to your sponsor. Finally, I'd had enough, and I said, all right, get on. Took him up on the freeway, 110 miles an hour. I thought, cure this little shit. Got back to the meeting, and I said, well, What happened? He said, I've always wanted to be a motorcycle bitch. I'm yours. And see, if I'd stayed home that night, I'd missed that. Okay, come on in here and use this thing. Work those damn steps. They're not something we just talk about around here. Work them. And they're numbered for we intellectuals. And, and you can dissect the program and do all kinds of things to it, but work the steps and you'll be okay and go on through it and enjoy yourself. And if you have complaints, please don't lie about them. See, I did some of that for some years. I didn't want anybody to think there was something wrong with my program because I was having a bad day. And finally, the truth had to come out, and I had to say it. I didn't care what I looked like by that time. I just wanted people to know the truth and where I was at. And there wasn't anything wrong with my program. I'm a human being, so you're going to have bad days. I don't trust people that have tra-la-la sobriety, where everything's just marvelous, marvelous, just marvelous. Woman up the street here years ago, I'd say, how are you today? And she'd say, oh, I'm in the middle of a miracle. And I don't think I want one of those. So come on in here and use this thing so that we can all lurch along the murky road of happy destiny together. See, I know the book says road of murky. All right, change it a little if you have to. Don't change too much in there, though. I don't mess with some of the other places in there, namely the steps. Because, I've heard people twist those things around. Oh, yeah, okay. Do it for a while, but don't do it too long. And there are people in this room that I have known for a lot of years. And for an alkie and a dope fiend to have that happen in their life, that's one hell of an experience you must not miss. People that I love and that I care about. And I don't have that in my family. My family still wanders on. They don't know what the hell's going on. My Uncle Frank says, how long have you been wearing glasses? And since I was 9 years old, Uncle Frank. Oh, hi there. When did you get out of the Army? I've never been in the Army. I got drafted once. I was in the penitentiary. They wouldn't take me. What the hell? Anyway, I don't want to be around people like that, because that's what it was when I was a kid. No communication. And here, there's so many people to communicate with. We are, the luckiest people in the world. Use this. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of talk. If you're sitting here with binoculars, throw them down. Screw that. Get involved in this thing. It is a participation thing, not a spectator sport here. And that's the same thing goes for life, because this is life, or my basis for life. I do other things. Hell yes, I communicate with Al-Anons and a lot of other people. I have a hell of a good time with them. I just enjoy the shit out of being a human being. And God damn it, that's what it's all about here. Come on in here and use this thing and enjoy yourself here. And if you're having a bad day, okay, do it. Throw things, whatever the hell you have to do. Christ, I throw firecrackers and blame it on the kids up the street. I am very glad to be in this room tonight, because something happens in our rooms a lot of nights where you can slice it with a knife. That feeling is there, and there's plenty of it for everybody. And not one individual can sell it or conjure it up by themselves. Wouldn't that be great if I'm home talking in a mirror? Oh, come on, Jesus Christ. And it is a we type of thing here. That's what happens here. And that's why nobody's ahead of anybody else. I surrender to this power, whatever the hell it is, every day. And all that means is just kind of going with the flow and to see what happens. I believe God's will for me is trial and error. Trying something, doing something, instead of just standing around thinking about, well, I'll do it when it's the right time. Well, the right time is now. It's like relationships. God, they don't cause nearly as much trouble as book study groups. As soon as you're able to get it up, get it on. There used to be a group around here, a lot of times they'd say, life is in session at 8:30 when the meeting started. And yeah, it is. There's so much to learn here, but make it an adventure and have a great life. That's what it's all about here. It really is. And you know how lucky I am to be alive at my age? My God, I've been through all kinds of medical things. And I just decided to take it with a grain of salt and go through it. I didn't like it. My God, I've had cancer. I've had, and it's back again. I've had a stroke. I've had a heart attack. I've had open heart surgery. All these goddamn things. And I thought, believe me, if it hadn't been for coming here first, none of that. Because hell, I joke with a doctor. God, every time I saw a doctor, I just laid down and said, take what you want. And my friend up the street here, he's had the same problems that I did, and you know how they do with the probe and all that sort of thing, and there you are, and they're saying, oh, look in the screen, look in the screen. I don't look in the screen at the damn probe shoved up in me. And the doctor kept saying, it's so beautiful, it's just wonderful. What? Now, when I came to the conclusion that the most beautiful part of my body is 14 inches up my ass, I hope everybody's had a good time tonight as I have being here. I'm glad we could share. That's it.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, And it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.